Knowing SOHCAHTOA will definitely help. And also, if you remember in one of the other questions that explained what a 3-4-5 triangle is, or if you didn't watch it, a 3-4-5 triangle is just a common right triangle that the SAT tests on. So for example, any multiple of 3-4-5, if I double the 3-4-5, this will become 6, 8, 10. And if I multiply the original one by 3, so it'll become 9, 12, 15. See how these are all multiples of 3-4-5? Basically, if you're given these two sides or any two sides, you don't have to calculate the third one, just because you can just use this to figure out the other sides, the multiples of this. You can also do a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but these really just simplify the process. So knowing that will help a little bit, and knowing SOHCAHTOA for sure will help in this problem. The problem tells me that sine of a equals 0.8. Keep in mind that sine is opposite divided by the hypotenuse. So opposite of a is this side right there. And the hypotenuse is always this one. So I'll label that the h. I'll label this O. So I know that O divided by h must give me 0.8. So what I want to do for this problem is think of two numbers. So when I divide them, it gives me 0.8. And I'm going to just throw out the answer. It should be 8 and 10. There's a couple of different numbers that'll work out. There's actually an infinite amount of numbers that'll work out, but the easiest one that I could think of is 8 over 10. And now if I look at 8 over 10, that actually is a multiple of 3-4-5, isn't it? See how the 4 and the 8, it's 4 times 2 is 8, and the 10, 5 times 2 is 10. So I don't have to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I know that ab will just be 3 times 2, which is 6. So I know, again, to recap, it's saying sine of a equals 0.8, and I know that sine is opposite divided by the hypotenuse. So I know if some number right here divided by some number over here must give me 0.8. So all I did was I tried making up two numbers, so when I divide them, gives me 0.8, and I came up with 8 over 10, because 8 divided by 10 is 0.8, or think of that as 80%, 8 over 10. So I made this 8, I made this 10. Now for this missing side, I knew this would be 6, I could either do a squared plus b squared equals c squared and figure it out, or I could just use this 3-4-5 triangle and know that these are just multiples of the 3-4-5. Now let's get to the final question. The question is saying what's tan of c. Here's c right here. And tan of c, or tan of anything, is just opposite over adjacent. So the opposite here is that number 6. And the adjacent is this number right next to it. Because this obviously is the hypotenuse. So this is the opposite, this is the adjacent, so it's 6 over 8, or 3 over 4 as my final answer. Right, 3 over 4, yep, 2 times 3 and 2 times 4, yep, 3 over 4. So 3 over 4 will be your final answer, tan of C.